I was in the garage that Saturday morning, hands covered in grease from fixing the damn mower again, when my phone buzzed on the workbench. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out, but something told me to pick up. Rick, this is Joel Summers, from the athletic department. Right away, my stomach tightened. He didn't sound casual, not like a post-game chat. I need to inform you there's been a report about Ellie, something serious. Someone said she tampered with the batting machine before warm-ups today. I blinked. What? He kept going. We reviewed some footage. There's no direct shot of her, but based on what we found and what a few people said, there's enough to be concerned. I'm sorry, Rick. I stood there, still holding the dirty rag in one hand, like the words hadn't landed yet. My kid, sabotaging her own team? It didn't make sense, but I didn't ask questions. I didn't even finish the call properly. I hung up, slammed the mower hood down, and stormed into the house, grease still on my hands. Ellie was upstairs in her room. I didn't knock. I shoved the door open. She was sitting on her bed, scrolling through her phone, calm as anything. You think this is a joke? I barked. You think messing with team equipment is funny? She stared at me, confused. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. She sat up straighter. Dad, I didn't touch anything. I cut her off. Save it. I just got off the phone with the athletic director. They've got witnesses. They've got footage. Don't lie to me. She didn't yell, didn't protest again. She just looked down at her hands. I ripped open her closet, grabbed her glove, her cleats, the custom bat I bought her last Christmas. I even took the framed photo of her with her first travel team, the one she used to show everyone who walked into her room. If you're gonna act like this, you don't get to wear the uniform. You don't get to represent the team, or this family. Still, she said nothing. You're grounded. Indefinitely. No phone, no practice, no games. Ellie just lowered herself back onto the bed, crossed her legs. Quiet. No crying. No excuses. Not a word. I took the gear downstairs and dumped it in the garage like it was junk. Quick note. Before we go on, tell us where you're watching from. Which city or country? I thought silence meant guilt. I thought discipline would fix it. But something in her face stuck with me, like she'd just shut a door behind her. She didn't say a word the rest of that day, or the next. Sunday morning, I came downstairs early to check the listings. I had posted her gear online the night before. Glove, cleats, even that expensive bat I custom ordered with her name etched on the barrel. I told myself it was the right thing. If she didn't respect the game, she didn't need the tools. By noon, I had 3 messages from other parents. One mom from across town offered cash for the bat. Another dad picked up her glove within the hour. Didn't even ask why I was selling. Just said, "Thanks, coach," and left. Ellie watched from the upstairs landing. Didn't move. Didn't say anything. Just stood there in that oversized hoodie she always wore when she was upset. I didn't flinch. I closed the door and went back to the kitchen. At dinner that night, she didn't come down. Tanya made spaghetti, Ellie's favorite, but her plate stayed full on the counter. Drew asked if she was sick. Tanya said, "She's just tired," and looked at me like she was begging me to say something different. I didn't. By Monday morning, the silence was settled in like fog. Ellie didn't speak on the drive to school. She didn't even take her headphones off when we pulled into the lot. She got out without saying bye. I remember thinking, she's stubborn, just like me. She'll come around. That night, I opened her door without knocking. She was sitting at her desk, doing homework. "You ready to talk about it yet?" I asked. She didn't even turn around. I stood there for a beat, waiting for some kind of response. You know, acting like a victim doesn't change what you did. Still nothing. I shut the door hard on my way out. Tanya cornered me in the hallway. "What are you doing, Rick? What's the end game here?" "She sabotaged her own team," I snapped. "She needs to face the consequences." "She's 17, Tanya said, "and she hasn't even defended herself. Doesn't that tell you something?" "She's guilty," I said. "If she wasn't, she'd say something." Tanya crossed her arms. "Or maybe she's so hurt she doesn't think it's worth trying anymore." I walked away. I didn't want to hear it. Tuesday night, I caught Drew sitting alone at the kitchen table, fiddling with his juice box. "You seen your sister?" I asked. He nodded. She was in her room. I asked if she wanted to play Mario Kart, but she said no. I felt something twist in my gut, but I shoved it down. "She's just busy, bud." He didn't answer, just stared at the table. By midweek, even the dog started avoiding her door. Tanya kept giving me this look like she didn't recognize me anymore, like I was a stranger in my own house. I thought I was doing the right thing. Tough love. That's what dads are supposed to do, right? Hold the line. Teach lessons. So I held it. I held it so tight, I didn't notice everything else slipping out from under it. Thursday night, I walked past Ellie's room and saw the closet door cracked. The shelves were empty. No gear, no trophies, not even her tournament medals. Just a blank wall and an open floor. It hit me weird, like the room wasn't hers anymore, like she'd packed away a piece of herself. I stood in the doorway for a while, then went back downstairs without a word. That weekend came and went, and still, not a sound from her. Not even to Drew, who kept knocking on her door asking if she wanted to build Legos. Tanya sat next to me on the couch Sunday night and said, "You need to fix this." I shook my head. "She'll come to me when she's ready." Tanya didn't argue. She just got up and left the room. And I stayed there, arms crossed, staring at the blank TV screen, pretending silence still meant guilt. I was standing in the locker room after practice, going over lineup notes, when my phone rang. Unknown number again. "Rick Dawson." "Yeah, this is Kyle Morgan, regional rep for Apex Sports. You bought one of our older batting machines a few years back." "Yeah, I remember." "Why?" "We're running a defect investigation. Turns out, there was a faulty sensor model distributed in your batch. It caused machines to misfire during startup." I stopped moving. "You're saying the machine broke on its own?" "Yes, sir. The logs from your school's maintenance cameras match the timestamps from the error report. Nobody tampered with it. It was internal." I didn't say anything. "There was also an anonymous complaint filed," he went on. "We traced it. A student from your team submitted it, not your daughter. From what I hear, this player had issues with her spot on the roster. We passed everything to your school this morning." My hand was locked around the edge of the bench. "You're absolutely sure?" "We are. I just wanted to give you a heads up before your AD did." I hung up without saying goodbye. The clipboard slipped from my hands. I had benched Ellie, sold her gear, torn into her like she was a criminal. Over nothing. No, not nothing. A lie. I don't know how I got home. I just remember the drive felt longer than usual. I walked into the house and heard Drew laughing at something in the living room. Tanya was in the kitchen. I went straight upstairs. Ellie's door was cracked open. She was sitting cross-legged on her bed. Same hoodie, same blank stare. I knocked once. "Can I come in?" She didn't answer, but she didn't tell me to leave either. I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. My throat was dry. "They called me today," I said. "The company that made the batting machine. It was broken. A defect. You didn't do anything wrong." She didn't move. "The complaint came from someone else," I added. "Another girl on the team. She wanted you off the field." Still nothing. "I was wrong, Elle." My voice cracked. "I didn't ask questions. I didn't give you a chance. I messed up bad." She blinked. Slowly. "I shouldn't have taken your stuff. I shouldn't have humiliated you like that." Finally, she looked at me. Not angry, not crying, just empty. "Okay," she said. "That was it." "Okay," I asked. She turned her head back to the wall. "I heard you, Ellie." She shook her head, still facing away. I stood there, waiting for something, anything, a tear, a scream, even a shove, but she just sat there. "I'll do whatever it takes to make this right," I said. "I mean that." She didn't respond. I turned and walked out, closing the door behind me as gently as I could. I didn't sleep that night, just sat in the dark, running the conversation over and over again in my head, wishing she'd said anything besides, "Okay." Tanya was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. I hadn't even made it halfway down before she stepped into the hallway, arms folded tight across her chest. "She still won't talk to you, will she?" I shook my head. Her voice was low and sharp. "You didn't just take her stuff, Rick. You took her pride, her identity, what she worked her whole damn life for." I said I was wrong. I muttered. "No," she snapped. "You admitted you were wrong. That's not the same thing." I started to walk past her, but she blocked me again. "You want to fix this? Start by doing something." The next morning, I started making calls. The guy who bought the glove, he was a dad from the rival district. I drove 40 minutes to his place, stood in his driveway with cash in hand. "How much?" He scratched his head. "I paid 60. I'll give you 200. He blinked. "It's just a glove, man." "It's not." 200. He handed it over without another word. The bat was harder. A mom from Ellie's old rec team had bought it. She said her daughter loved it, used it every day. When I offered to buy it back, she paused. "Did something happen with Ellie?" she asked. I couldn't answer, just nodded once. She sighed. "Sorry, Rick. My daughter would lose her mind if I gave this back." I left empty-handed. The photo was long gone. The kid who bought it used the frame for his own picture. I found it at a swap meet table. Ellie's picture had been ripped out. I stood there, holding the empty frame like a moron. Then I left it behind. Back home, things hadn't changed. Ellie still stayed in her room. Her door was always shut, her backpack dumped untouched by the front door every day after school. At dinner, she'd sit with her food untouched, headphones in, eyes dull. I tried once, asked how her classes were going. She didn't even look up. Drew barely talked anymore either. He'd glance at her, then at us, like he was scared to say the wrong thing. Tanya watched all of it, chewing her food in silence, her jaw tight. One night, Ellie didn't come down at all. Tanya made her a plate anyway and set it on the counter, just in case. Later, after Drew went to bed, I found Tanya in the laundry room. She was sitting on the floor, holding one of Ellie's old softball hoodies, the one with the faded team logo and a little hole in the sleeve. She wasn't sobbing, just staring at it, eyes red, face blank. "She's not coming back," she whispered. "Not the way she was." I crouched next to her. "I'm trying to fix it." "No, Rick, you're trying to undo it. But some things you can't undo." I didn't know what to say. She used to walk in the house laughing, Tanya said. She used to dance around in the kitchen. Remember that? I nodded. Now she's just gone, right in front of us. I leaned back against the washer, hands on my knees. Tanya looked at me, voice shaking now. You broke her. I wanted to argue, say something, anything, but I couldn't, because she was right. I got up early the next morning and packed Ellie's glove in a box. I left it outside her door. No note, no speech, just the glove. When I checked that night, it was gone, but her door stayed shut. The next few days were more of the same. At school, her teachers emailed Tanya. Her grades were slipping. One said she didn't even bring a pencil to class. Drew told us she got into a little argument in the cafeteria because someone bumped her tray and she didn't react, just stood there. She didn't even care, he said quietly. She just walked away. Tanya didn't say anything that night at dinner, just got up early and went straight to bed. I sat in the living room, staring at the hallway. The house didn't feel like ours anymore. It felt like a place people passed through, a place where things used to happen. Tanya came back into the living room after putting Drew to bed. I was still sitting there, TV off, staring at the blank screen like it was going to show me the answer. She sat down across from me and pulled the blanket tighter around her legs. The clock ticked loud in the silence. I don't know how to fix it, I said. Tanya didn't respond right away. Then she looked at me, really looked at me. Do you remember your dad? My jaw clenched. What about him? The way he used to scream at you. Over grades. Over spilled milk. Over nothing. I swallowed. Hard. That was different. Was it? I didn't answer. You told me once, after Ellie was born, that you'd never be like him. You said you'd never raise your voice just to feel big. I rubbed my hand over my face. I was trying to teach her discipline. Tanya shook her head. No, you were trying to stay in control. She needed structure. She needed a dad who believed in her, she snapped. Not one who threw her under the bus the second someone pointed a finger. I looked down at my hands. I thought I was doing what was right. No, Rick, you thought you were doing what was easy, just like your father did. That stopped me cold. You think yelling makes you strong? She went on. You think punishment builds character? All it did was tear her down. You didn't see it, but I did. I shook my head. She was shutting down before this even happened. She was under pressure. She was stressed. That's not the same as giving up. You crushed her when you didn't even ask if it was true. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. I keep thinking about the way he used to stand in the doorway, belt in hand. No questions. Just rage. Tanya nodded. And now look at you, standing in doorways, taking everything from her, thinking it'll teach her something. I could feel it building in my chest. This pressure I hadn't felt in years. Like I was back in that kitchen at 10 years old, getting screamed at for tracking mud on the tile. I'm becoming him, I said quietly. Tanya's voice softened, but her eyes didn't. You already did. I didn't argue. Couldn't. I'd built my whole life on this idea that discipline was love, that tough made strong. But that night, sitting on that couch, I realized it wasn't about strength at all. It was about fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being respected. Fear that if I let up for even a second, everything would fall apart. But it already had. Ellie wasn't rebelling. She wasn't acting out. She was breaking. And I was the one swinging the hammer. Tanya leaned back, crossing her arms. I don't need you to be perfect, Rick, but I need you to see what you've done. Not just to her, to all of us. I nodded slow. I see it now. Then show her. I sat there for a long time after she went upstairs. The silence didn't feel righteous anymore. It felt hollow. The call came a week later, right in the middle of my planning period. Principal's office. Number saved in my phone. I answered before the first ring finished. Mr. Dawson, it's Coach Lane. We had a situation with Ellie this morning. My gut clenched. What kind of situation? There was an altercation in the locker room. Nothing physical, but she lost her temper. Threw a water bottle. Hit a wall. I pressed the bridge of my nose. What happened? Someone made a joke. About the sabotage thing. Said something like, careful, Ellie might rig your cleats. I cursed under my breath. Anyone hurt? No, but the staff's concerned. The school counselor's already with her. I was in the truck 5 minutes later, pulling into the school lot like I was about to storm a fire. I walked in, nodded at the front desk, and found them in the office. Ellie sitting across from a counselor I hadn't met before. She didn't even look up when I walked in. The counselor stood. Mr. Dawson? I'm Cara Mills. I've been meeting with Ellie on and off the last couple months. I looked at my daughter. Her face was blank, arms crossed tight, foot bouncing under the chair. Is she in trouble? I asked. No suspension. Not yet. But this isn't the first time she's had emotional outbursts. I frowned. She's been holding it together fine at home. Maybe, but not here. Not in ways that matter. I waited. She's not lashing out because she's angry, the counselor said. She's carrying something heavy, and it's eating her up. That incident with her teammate? That's not the root. It's the overflow. I looked at Ellie again. Still nothing. The counselor lowered her voice. She feels alone. And when you carry pain alone for too long, it comes out sideways. Later that night, I knocked on her bedroom door. Can I come in? No answer. I opened it anyway. She was curled up on the bed, back to me. Hoodie pulled over her head, blanket up to her chin. I sat on the floor. Didn't say anything at first. I was called into the school today, I said quietly. I know what happened. Nothing. They told me you lost it in the locker room. That someone said something they shouldn't have. Still no reaction. I don't blame you for getting mad, for feeling what you're feeling. You're allowed. A pause. I leaned back against the dresser. I screwed up, Elle. I didn't wait. I didn't ask. I just assumed the worst and threw you to the wolves. That's on me. I heard a sniff, maybe, or just the rustle of her sleeve. I'm not going to make excuses. You don't need those. You need a dad who listens. And I didn't. I let you down in the worst way. I waited. The room was dark except for the light from the hallway spilling across the floor. Then she spoke. 5 words. Quiet. Firm. I don't trust you anymore. My chest tightened. I get it, I said. You don't owe me anything. But I'm going to earn it back, even if it takes forever. She didn't answer. I stood, walked to the door, and looked back. Her face was still hidden, but her hand had dropped to her side. Open, not clenched. It wasn't a win. It wasn't peace. But it was something. The next morning, I opened the trash can in the garage to toss out an old pair of cleats and saw something stuffed down beneath a pizza box. It was Ellie's travel team hoodie, the same one she wore to every tournament from age 11 to 15, the one with the faded logo and her nickname stitched under the sleeve. I pulled it out, dirt smeared across the front, the drawstring torn. I didn't say anything, just brushed it off and set it aside like maybe she'd want it back later, even though I knew damn well she didn't. That same day, I passed her room on my way to get laundry from the hall closet. Door was cracked. She was curled up tight under her blanket, hoodie pulled over her head, knees tucked to her chest. Didn't look up, didn't move. I stood there for a second, just staring at my own kid, frozen in her own bed like the world was pressing down on her. Then I kept walking. That night, Tanya called me into the kitchen. She had something in her hand, a small, spiral-bound notebook, the kind Ellie used to draw in when she was younger. I found this in the bottom of her closet, Tanya said. She flipped it open. Pages filled with half-sketched faces, broken outlines, notes crammed between the margins like she didn't want them to be seen. One line kept repeating, scrawled again and again in different handwriting, different ink, like she'd written it on different days. I'm not good enough. I didn't say anything. Tanya set the notebook down gently, like it might explode. I didn't know it was this bad, she said. I sat down at the table, hands clenched tight. Me neither. Tanya stared at me. You still think grounding her was the lesson she needed? No. You still think silence is guilt? I shook my head. I don't know how to help her, she whispered. And I think she's given up. I didn't respond. I couldn't. After she went upstairs, I walked out to the garage, sat on the edge of my old tool bench, and just broke. No yelling. No punching the wall. Just tears. I couldn't remember the last time I cried. Not like that. Not where it felt like everything inside me cracked open. All the memories came rushing in. The games, the car rides home, the first time she hit a double and looked straight to the stands to find me. And now here we were. She thought she wasn't good enough, and I'd been the one to prove her right. The next morning, Tanya sat beside me at the table with a list of numbers. Therapists. I'm calling, she said. No, I told her. We're calling. She looked at me like she wasn't sure if I meant it. Then she handed me the phone. We called 3 offices before one had an opening. I told them it was for my daughter, that it was urgent, that she was 17, that she'd been withdrawing, that she wasn't speaking to us much anymore. They said they could fit her in Thursday after school. I knocked on her door that evening, stood there holding the paper with the appointment time on it. She opened it partway. There's a therapist, I said. Local, female, Thursday. We made the appointment, but it's up to you if you want to go. She didn't answer right away. Then she reached out, took the paper, and shut the door again. I stood there for a second, listening to the quiet behind it. Then I turned around and walked away. She went. Thursday came, and Ellie walked out of her room with the appointment slip in her hand. Didn't say a word, just held it up. Tanya drove. I didn't ask to come. When they got back, Ellie went straight to her room. Tanya gave me a quick shake of the head. No details, no comments. I didn't push. She went again the next week, and the next. Still no words between us. Still no eye contact. She didn't want me involved, only Tanya. And for once, I didn't argue. I didn't try to insert myself or fix it. I just stayed out of the way. We stopped bringing up softball completely. No games on the TV. No questions about tryouts. Nothing. The sport had been the center of everything for so long, but now, it felt radioactive. I took down the plaques in the hallway, not to erase her, but to give her breathing room. Tanya noticed. She didn't say anything, but I caught her running her hand along the empty nail holes one afternoon. A couple weeks in, Ellie started sitting at the dinner table again. Still quiet, but she showed up, ate a little, listened. Drew tried cracking a few jokes here and there. Most of them didn't land, but Ellie would give him this soft little smile sometimes, barely there, and that was enough to keep him trying. About 2 months in, Tanya showed me a sketch. It was folded up in her coat pocket. She left it on the counter, she said. It was a drawing of a girl standing in the middle of a cracked field, not crying, not screaming, just standing. Her hands were fists, but her face was calm. There was something written at the bottom. Still here. I didn't say anything, just handed it back. That weekend, I caught a glimpse of Ellie and Drew in the backyard. He was chasing the dog around, and she was sitting on the steps, laughing, full-on laughing, for the first time in what felt like forever. I didn't interrupt, didn't open the door. I just stood at the kitchen window and watched like I was afraid it'd vanish if I moved. Then came the night she walked into the living room while I was watching a ball game. Didn't say a word. She just dropped down on the couch next to me, legs tucked under her, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. I kept the volume low, didn't react, didn't turn my head. 10 minutes went by, maybe 15. Then I felt her shoulder lean just slightly into mine, barely enough to notice. She stayed there for the rest of the inning. Didn't speak, didn't look at me, but she stayed. Later that night, Tanya found me in the hallway outside our bedroom. She sat with me. I said. Tanya nodded. I saw. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, unsure what to do with the weight in my chest. Tanya stepped closer, placed a hand on my arm. That was a start, and for once, I believed her. She knocked on the bathroom door while I was brushing my teeth. Just one short knock, then pushed it open halfway. Ellie stood there holding a paper in her hand. Her voice was flat, but steady. Tryouts are in May. I froze, toothbrush still in my mouth. She held the form out toward me. I'm not asking you to coach me, she said. Just need a ride. I nodded and took the paper from her. She didn't wait for a response, just walked away. The morning of tryouts, she came downstairs in sweats, hair tied back, bag slung over her shoulder. No eye contact, no talk about warming up or keeping her head in the game. Just a quiet, let's go. The drive was silent. She stared out the window the whole time, earbuds in, one foot bouncing against the floor mat. When we pulled into the lot, she didn't wait for me to park, just said, I'll text when it's over. I parked anyway, took a seat in the back row of the bleachers, far away from the other parents. Didn't yell, didn't wave, I just watched. She wasn't the loudest on the field, didn't smile much, but she moved with purpose, clean footwork, sharp throws, every step deliberate. She didn't glance at the stands once, and I didn't need her to. When it wrapped up, she walked back toward me, helmet clipped to her back. She stopped a few feet away, arms at her sides. I don't need you to fix me, Dad, she said. Just don't break me again. I stared at her. This version of Ellie that wasn't the same kid from before, but something tougher, quieter, still carrying the cracks, but walking anyway. I nodded, didn't say a word. She turned and walked toward the car. And this time, I didn't lead. I followed.